Good. All right, it's 5 o'clock. Appreciate everybody being here. We're going to go ahead and get our work session started for next week's council meeting. First on the agenda would be agenda-related public comments. Mr. Faruqi chimed in.
Okay, so it's been 2 weeks since the release of the Green Report to you all. When will it be released to us?
Yes, I just want to correct one thing. It has not been 2 weeks since it's released to us, which is what you said. That's false. I don't have a date of when it will be released, but we're working towards that.
Okay, how did it become false? Because the news have been reporting the 31st that you guys have had access to it.
I think we've been very clear. No one up here got that until Thursday afternoon at 2 o'clock.
Okay, well, somebody, apparently Green released
You
it.
said us, which is false.
Is there anyone up on this dais who received it?
No, not until Thursday at 2 o'clock.
Okay, so you have seen it?
Yes.
Okay, and you spent 4 hours looking at it?
Yes.
Okay. What are the key takeaways?
I'm not going to discuss that tonight.
When will you?
It will be released to the public, and I'll decide when I'm ready to do that personally from then on.
Okay.
Mr.
Will
President,
council
may
when?
well be.
Excuse me?
I was just trying to help, sir. Don't count this against him, of course. I would anticipate no earlier than the end of next week. That's what I'm anticipating.
Are you the one deciding?
No, sir, but I am one that's helping with it.
A team. Who's on the team?
Just continue your comments.
Well, I'm asking the question, who's on the team that's deciding when the Green Report, which is check number 16809, is going to be released? Okay. Okay. Checks, $9.8 million were spent last month. Do we have a liaison for the Decatur City Schools from our panel here?
Is that you?
That's me.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Is that on the, because I looked on the website, I couldn't see that there was anyone who had that responsibility.
It's, again, like I've explained 100 times, it's not a responsibility that I get to tell them what to do. It's a point of contact.
So, but you are the liaison to then?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you. Tab, any thoughts on the policy on waste, fraud, and abuse yet? A policy on waste, fraud, and abuse for city employees.
We have policies on waste, fraud, and abuse.
What are they?
I don't know what they are right off the top of my head.
Okay, how about the policy on misuse of government vehicles?
I can't recall what you were.
This is like the month of which you cannot recall a policy which doesn't exist, by the way, and I've brought that to your attention several times. So are you going to establish a policy to do that, to look at that? Okay, yeah. In the checks that are listed is $350 for law enforcement risk management, first line supervisory course held at Redstone Arsenal, and then $200 for impaired driving prevention training, which is 733% more if you total those two together compared to the rape aggression defense training, of which you only spent $75. We've had a number of rape events in the city, at least 3 since April, and this is the only training that I've been aware of that's been initiated. Why is that? Mr. McMasters, police liaison. We've got rapes going on in the city, serious criminal events.
There's constant training going on with things all the time.
Is that the excuse you're going to give for the Green Report when it comes out, that there's constant training going on? Yes, I can see that clearly. And then how is Steve Osborne getting $8,000 for not following policies to avoid unnecessary cruelty of animals under his care as the city vet? Anybody?
He's contracted by the city, and that payment was made as part of that contract.
Okay, but we're aware of an event that happened last council meeting involving Sophie.
I think it's Sophia, but we're not going to discuss that issue as we described last week.
Okay, so there may be some litigation there too, obviously.
Yeah, we've hit 4 minutes. You can wrap up. Thanks.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks. All right, we'll move into the agenda. Approval of monthly bills. Approved December 2024 monthly bills. Any questions? December 30th, 2024, 5 p.m. council work session. Sorry, this is approval of minutes. December 30th, 2024, 5 p.m. council work session. January 6th, 2025, 5:30 p.m. council work session. January 6th, 2025, 6 p.m. council meeting. Any questions? All right, resolutions. Resolution 25007, approved farmers market art projection project. Herman.
I thought so. Anyway, there's a project at the farmer's market. It's an illumination, it's artwork, and it would be in the vicinity, obviously, of the farmer's market and the overpass. It should be a very impressive illumination. The question was it a sign? And we're determining it is not a sign. It is artwork. And that was a request that, I hate to be a name dropper, but Kelly Thomas was who initiated asking, so, which is great, downtown redevelopment. So that's the purpose of it, is just to say that it's okay to do that, and it's not a sign, and it can continue to do it unless it becomes a traffic concern or something like that. I mean, the illumination. It's not supposed to shine up into the
What's it going to display?
overpass. Huh?
What's the display going to look like?
It's going to be a creation of art students. Yeah, so it'll be different designs and all.
All right, any questions?
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Resolution 25008, authorize the mayor to execute contract with ESRI. Brad?
Brad Phillips, Information Systems. ESRI is the company we buy our GIS software from. We've been in business or relationships with them for 25 years, and this is just some formality we have to do every 3 years to extend our contract with them.
There's no additional budget?
No, same every year.
All right, any questions?
And then DU's involved.
Yes, DU pays half for it. We buy it together.
Yep. Okay, thanks, Brad. Resolution 25009, approved transfer of funding to purchase retro reflectometer and software for traffic signs and markings department.
Yes, Mayor, Council. Currently in our sign shop, and part of our inspections is we do nightly inspections, and currently to get the reflectivity of those signs, which is basically the light that bounces back off where individuals are looking at it with their naked eye. And there are some parameters that are spelled out in MUTCD to do that. And this is a device that actually will measure those and give us some accurate measurements according to what the specifications are in the MUTCD.
Any questions? All right, thanks, Coral. Just a reminder, anything else from city folks on it? Next week's meeting is on Tuesday, January 21st, not Monday. Just a reminder of that. And then, so that's our meeting for next week. We will move into our public comment section. And just a reminder, I think we had some new folks last week, but we did 3 minutes. You'll hear a bell, and that gives you 1 more minute. There's no profanity. If there are vulgar, denigrating comments, we're not going to allow those either, but you'll get an extra minute after your 3 minutes to wrap up. So we'll start on the list. Mr. Faruqi was first on the list.
Are you all familiar with Senate Bill 291?
Not sure, but maybe.
Okay, because it came into law on the 1st of January, and it requires you all to get some training.
Talking about state senate, I wasn't sure what you meant. No, I'm not.
You're not familiar with it? Anybody?
Yeah, I read something about it. It's where you gotta have yearly CMO training or something, not CMO, but ongoing training.
CMO, what is that?
So that's certified municipal official. That's a advanced training you can get. A lot of the smaller municipalities get that.
Okay. Are you familiar with it?
Am I familiar with CMO? Yes, sir.
No, the Senate Bill 291.
Yes, sir. Well, see, please understand, there's a Senate bill each year, so just sharing 291, but you've clarified it's this year. So yes, I'm familiar with that.
Okay. This is a requirement beyond, as I understand, the League of Municipalities. Are you familiar with that?
I'm familiar with the League of Metallics, yes.
But the Senate bill is on the
Yes,
first.
this is a state, it's the council president shared, it's a state, and you shared, it's a state law that's just been passed.
Okay, good.
Yes.
So you're supposed to get, well, first of all, council is supposed to be a competent legislature designed to be a check on the mayoral, not present, administrative powers. The council president has stated his preference to act as a board of directors instead as a legislative body, and only a part-time one at that. So
Yeah, we are part-time. Would you say that's a fact or fiction? This job is part-time or full-time?
I think you are the
Is
only,
this job part-time or full-time?
I don't think, when you were elected, nobody said this is a part-time job.
It quite literally is a part-time job.
Where is it literally stating it is a part-time job?
Everywhere you would look, it is a part-time job.
Where, Jacob Ladner, is it stated that this is a part-time job?
Part-time or full-time position?
I don't want to burst your bubble, but the mayor's office is a part-time job. Their job is to, of course, serve, but they're not here every day.
Understand.
It's not, it is a part-time job.
Understand.
Yes, sir.
But you are the only legislative body in the city of Decatur.
And they can only act when they meet.
Well, they can act as a legislative body instead of as a board of directors. Would you agree?
We are a legislative
That is their
body.
function, yes, sir.
Okay, but you're not acting like one. Okay, we need full-time engaged, maybe not full-time employees, officials on the legislature, not part-time officials who value short-time fiscal growth over long-term citizen well-being. As a legislative body, Jacob Ladner, you have the ability to develop hearings, should there be a hearing for the events that happened with the Green Report, in your opinion.
We had a meeting for 4 hours to review it. We'll
Should there be a hearing, a public hearing?
we'll see how we approach that, probably in a council meeting.
All right. We need and deserve accountability of the mayor and his administration, and that is your job. You are the only accountability for the mayor and the city employees.
City citizens are the accountability.
Once every 4 years.
That's right.
If you have a special called council meeting on a liquor license, when will you have a special called council meeting on Decatur Police Department?
If we have something to vote on, we will do that, like we did with the liquor license.
As a board of directors. That's an action that the board of directors would take, not as a legislative body. A legislative body would care, Jacob, and not do the, for lack of a better term, simple BS that you
If I didn't care,
espouse.
we never would have hired them. I would not.
How long did it take you to hire them?
I'm done with you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Lisa Bradley.
Good evening, y'all. Y'all said y'all haven't got the report back yet. Can I ask something? You all
Can I just want to be clear, okay? We have gotten it.
You stop by the timer.
We got it on Thursday.
I'm saying you guys aren't ready to release it to us, right? So,
Once again, we will not be doing that. That is a legal function.
what isn't the legal department going to meet with you all?
We will discuss that because I want to make sure, frankly, that we're redacting what, I think we need to have a conversation about what's redacted, so yes.
So y'all got the report last Thursday, and you guys don't have any meeting set in place to discuss this with legal. Is that what I'm understanding?
They are working on, with Green and others on meetings on the redactions, yes. So
Can I ask another question? In this report, Green, they interviewed you all as well, right? So in this report, did we find out?
I do want to make one.
I mean, can I speak, Jacob? You cut my minutes time off. I can't even get my questions out.
Two in your calls. Mr. Pepper declined to interview, so not all five, but 4 out of 5.
Okay, so these fake Facebook pages, we got to get to the bottom of this. I'm not going to accept no response from nobody. At this point, I'm being harassed. Not only am I being harassed, there's plenty of us protesters that are being harassed on a regular. And I know you said you don't look at social media, but a lot of people do. And it's degrading. These people are blocked on my page. I don't even understand how they're getting it. But the only person that I really, myself, have a problem with that would attack me in the nature that they do is this one right here, Hunter Pepper. So how can we find out about these fake pages? Did you guys ask which ones the police had when you guys did your report, or did Green ask that from you all?
There was not any discussion with them about.
So that's just out. Nobody's questioned.
I'm not sure.
Do you guys realize how nasty and how bad they make you all look on social media?
That's why I don't get on there.
Well, but some people do, and it's degrading. They said that. Did you see what they did last week about Jaden and the cartoon characters they made on Steve's birthday? It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable, and you guys should not just be sitting up here and just shrugging your shoulders like it doesn't matter, because it definitely matters. These are people. These are human beings that lost their life, and they don't deserve that. And it's nobody but somebody from the police department or this character right here, Hunter Pepper. I know it for a fact. So since you guys are saying you guys didn't get that report, is there a way that we can go and, I mean, I don't even trust the police department at this point. I guess can I go to the county and figure out a way to find out who these people are that are harassing us on Facebook, because that's against the law. And I want to get to the bottom of it, and I know it's not nobody but somebody within the city.
Let me ask you a question, Herm. Would that be considered harassing communications on Facebook if they were
Yes, they've tried to find out where I work
trying to leave?
to get me fired.
I don't know the answer to that because I don't own Facebook or social media, so I don't know the answer.
Okay, well, we're in
Harassing
2025. It's time to get up with the
law
new
spells
laws
out.
and the
So-
technology.
I'm sorry,
Because
what?
there are laws that are in place for
Yes, there
social
are
media
it's
of harassment.
communication. I would
That's
suggest
right.
if you don't trust our police department, then go over to the district.
And they had
Like
the
you
ability
said.
to find out who's making these pages. Because I would think that if the police department has fake pages, as they have said in the gag hearing, that somebody should have a record of what these fake pages are. And we need to know if these fake pages are the ones that are harassing us on Facebook.
All right.
So I have to go to the county to do that.
Well, if you don't trust.
Well, of
our
course I don't
department-
trust it. I mean, 2 plus 2 is
If you
4.
don't trust our department, the answer is
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
okay?
All right.
That was a what if.
Okay. My next question. So you guys don't have no meeting in place or whatever. Have you guys sat down with each other and discussed a plan going forward when you do get the results? Either way, like, I mean, if it's nothing, how you're going to address us, or if it's something, how you're going to fix that? Have you guys sat and tried to communicate with each other to figure out a solution so that we can all move forward?
Any
Well, I'm not sure.
communication we have with each other is what you see. We're not allowed to by law to meet together and discuss things like that.
So you have to do it in our presence. So when are you guys going to decide to discuss that in our presence and let us know what your plan is? Because at this point, we know what the report's going to say. You all know it too. You're just in denial. But are you guys going to get something together? Are you guys just going to continue to look lost?
My guess is we will, when that report.
I'm looking at you, sir. Don't look away.
Put it in then.
He's,
I'm looking at you.
okay, well, considering he sets the meeting schedule, that's why I'm looking at him.
Oh, okay. What'd you say now, Jacob?
My anticipation is when that is made public, there will be discussions about it on this dais with you all.
Okay. All right. And last thing.
But that is up to each council member. I can't.
I mean, right, but I mean, I would hope that you all are going to do right by this report. I mean, that's all I think all of us are expecting from you all as you sit up there, councilmen representing the community, right? All right, that's what we expect. Anyway, so this animal shelter thing, real fast. Just real quick, I didn't even realize the animal shelter was under the city. I have been having some issues, and I feel sorry for the lady who lost her dog, but I have a dog that I've put in complaints about multiple times with the animal shelter, and they said they were going to go back and check the dogs in a month because they were in bad shape, and they told me to call on January 2nd. I made that call. I'm still, I keep calling, and nobody calls me back, and nobody says nothing. So at this point, what do I do? Because the dog that I'm concerned about looks as if it has possible heartworm. And the longer they take to address it, it's going to be a bigger chance that I lose the dog. So
Ask you a question. You said that you reported the dog.
I did.
And they told you to call them back.
They went and looked at the dogs and told the people that the dogs were in bad shape and they had a month to get them back healthy, and they would come back in a month. And they told me to,
They would come back.
yes, and check the status of the dog. And a month passed. They told me to call back on January 2nd, and I called back January 2nd. I called back the next day, and they said the lady was going to call me back, and I have yet still to hear from anybody. So, like, the city is lost. Decatur is lost from the beginning to the end, from the top to the bottom. Like, and you all sit up here representing the city. That speaks so much volume that you guys just don't have no resolution for anything. Justice for Steve Perkins.
Would you call me?
I will.
Here you come.
Sarah French.
Before I start, I have been told by people on my phone since we've been here that it's not live streaming, and it didn't last week as well.
I think it does on YouTube.
Yes.
Last week, we're having some issues with the box. I think it does get posted. but
Okay, I'm just
people can
speaking
get
for-
on YouTube. It is live streaming. So.
Okay,
I didn't know that until someone just texted.
that's what I'm getting. Okay, I'm choosing to use my time tonight to make you aware that it seems like Renshaw is reappearing. For about the past week, he has commented on a lot of social media harassing Steve Perkins supporters once again. Remind you, this is an officer that was supposed to be under investigation when he was given retirement and benefits and able to leave with no consequences. Supposedly, he went out to California for some time, but appears he is back in town and he is doing tattoos in Hartselle, and bad tattoos at that. I'm sure there's nothing that the council can do about this but learn from the situation. I know our city says that it was the state that allowed him to stay and then file for retirement and get out the door with no consequences. However, I believe our chief of police, at minimum, as well as our mayor, was fully aware what was going on. It should have never happened. After Third Friday, Renshaw should have been put on admin duty and fully investigated for all the complaints against him. How that didn't happen blows my mind. But we need to make sure it doesn't happen again in any department. As of last Monday, I started receiving messages from employees on Shift A with our fire department. These employees reached out to me because they are very unhappy about the following situation. They made me aware of an employee who is under a sexual harassment investigation, as well as the same employee that was over the training exercise in the bathroom in the video that went viral last year. He has now been appointed battalion chief over Shift A, which is a promotion. I don't know how the details of it are, nor do I even want to get into them. However, I do think it would be important for our council members to look into this, because it's another situation where someone is under investigation and not being held accountable. I don't see how anyone can be under any kind of investigation for anything and get a promotion. Again, justice for Steve Perkins includes justice for this city. That's our police department, that's our fire department, that's our city department, and anything else that is corrupt in this city. His death is going to change so many things for Decatur. It can change them in a positive light if we take notice and we realize what's going on and make changes, or it can change Decatur forever by making Decatur go downhill from here. Because ever since Steve's murder, this city is continually being exposed for things. A year and a half later, it's time to either start fixing the corruption, or this city may just go down and never recover. Justice for Steve Perkins.
Christy Love. She signed in as Christy, but Dr. Love.
Good evening. Well, we know that Monday is Dr. King's holiday, and I wanted to read this article by the Innocence Project, Danielle Selby, and it says, why Martin Luther King Jr. wouldn't be satisfied with today's lack of police accountability. In 1963, Martin Luther King Jr. gave his historic I Have a Dream speech at the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom, and his words have since been celebrated and taught in classrooms around the world. The sentence, I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. is amongst the most widely shared from Dr. King's speech. And while it captures the heart of what Dr. King and roughly 250,000 people at the march called for, equality, it doesn't reflect the specific changes for which he advocated. Legislation ensuring equal treatment, voting rights, and the end to police brutality. We can never be satisfied as long as a Negro is the victim of the unspeakable horrors of police brutality, he said in that same speech. Today, he would likely be unsatisfied. In the nearly 6 decades since Dr. King gave this speech, there has been great progress in advancing equal rights, like passing of the Voting Rights Act, yet there remains much more to be done to end police brutality and dismantle racism. Today, Black people who are unarmed or pose a minimal threat to law enforcement are still 3 times as likely as white people to be shot and killed by the police. And in the past 5 years alone, there have been 1,254 documented cases in which police officers shot and killed a black person, many of whom were unarmed. Racial bias, whether implicit or explicit, plagues the system. And it is seen not only in these fatal shootings, but in the over-policing of communities of color and in violent street encounters with law enforcement. Such biases not only endanger lives, but also can contribute to wrongful convictions. Implicit bias can taint crime investigations, leading law enforcement to narrowly pursue a suspect who may fit their perception of a criminal, rather than thoroughly investigating all potential leads. This was the case for our recently exonerated client, Jathan Kendrick, who detectives doggedly pursued because he was black and vaguely matched a child's description of the attacker as seen from a great distance. Additionally, studies show that black and brown people are more likely to be stopped, searched, and suspected of a crime even when no crime has occurred. And they're more likely to be handled with undue force or met with violence in these encounters. In 2001, Tremaine Hicks was on his way home in Philadelphia when he stopped to help a woman in distress. The woman had been viciously attacked, and while Mr. Hicks attempted to help her, police assumed he was the attacker and shot him 3 times in the back. Mr. Hicks survived the shooting, but was ultimately wrongly convicted in an effort to cover up the officer's mistake. He spent 19 years in prison before the Innocence Project was able to secure his release and exoneration last month. Police misconduct like that in Mr. Hicks' case played a role in 35% of wrongful convictions resulting in an exoneration, according to the National Registry of Exonerations. My thoughts and prayers are with the countless others who are not coming home today, or ever because of an impulsive, ill-prepared, and apprehensive cop, Mr. Hicks said after his exoneration. The way the cops approach black and brown men and women stems from years of systemic racism. We need a whole new system, he added. In order to build that system, prevent wrongful convictions, and end police brutality, as Dr. King called for nearly 6 decades ago, we must increase police accountability. It goes on, but I think that is the gist of it. We need to hold them accountable. We need to make their records public so that we can hold them accountable and ensure that no one is wrongly convicted. So Dr. King would have turned 96 this year, and as we reflect on his legacy, this Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and the fight for equality continued after his assassination and continues today, the Innocence Project remains committed to fighting for more just and equal system for all. And I'm sure they would fight for justice for Steve Perkins.
Well, starting off, before I forget, I am real heavy about the youth in the city of Decatur, and I'm just going to leave it right there. We've lost another youth for not having enough programs in this city, but okay. All right, so what will Green be able, is that his name, Tory? Will Tory be able to deliver this findings to the Chamber of Commerce? To the Chamber?
The Chamber?
No.
And the reason why I'm asking that is because they have an initiative where they're trying to move the city forward, as they say. So I was wondering, would this be good information for them?
They'll get the same thing that everybody gets.
So what everybody gets, is this going to be enough information? Is this going to be, how much information are y'all? I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say without saying it, we want to be able to trust you all.
Let me say,
because this is going to be a big trust thing.
Comments made in the media and others about the redactions.
Mm-hmm.
Hypothetically, if we just say here's all of it, what if that has some reference to something in that report that could have a negative impact on the criminal trial that's coming up? Should we do that?
Well, they wouldn't investigate it.
No, I'm just asking, okay? So I think the redactions are important on a number of fronts, okay? So I'll tell you, people are concerned about that there could be an impact there. So this is not just some trivial, we're trying to hide information. I mean, I know that's what the narrative will be, and it is what it is. There's nothing I can do about that. But it's important that we go through that process, that Lee Herman's stance, and again, y'all can laugh and whatever, but is that we want to release as much as we can to the public. And that is also my standpoint. I said it. Y'all heard me when I stood right out there 6 months ago and talked about this, is that we want as much as we can to be given to the public. I guess just from a very general standpoint, anybody else can chime in, I will say I think they did a very good job with this review. I thought it was very thorough. It was very well done. We can't really get into specifics today, okay? But I was impressed. I thought they did a very good job. I thought they presented the information very well, and I think it will be helpful. So take that for what it's worth, which is not a whole lot today, but I do think it's important that we go through that process. And I think it's important that Herman and his team are able to work with Green to make sure that what they are trying to get across with the review is what the general public will also receive. So.
Okay, so when you all were selling this to the public that you was going to do this, you said that he would be looking at body cam and different
They
things.
looked at well over 300 hours of body camera footage. I don't think that's just random. Then they looked at body camera footage from complaints that had been, this is all Herman's talking about. I think this was all discussed publicly. So I think it's.
That was their assignment.
That was spelled out in the statement.
Nearly 1,000 hours total. So they're making sure what they review on body cam and go back to policy. So yes, lots of body camera footage.
So will the citizens be able to see any of this?
I think we're just releasing the report. I don't know everything they looked at. We don't. So.
Okay. So we're just getting a report, right?
Yes, same thing. We got the report we got with redactions.
Okay. Well, as I have a lot of people that call me and inbox me on a daily basis about this report, and we want to trust you all with this report, that everybody's going to do the right thing. I think it's going to be some decisions that need to be made because we know what we know what we've seen throughout the years and even throughout these months. So I'm expecting for you all to do the right thing. McMasters, this is the question of the day. If this report comes out that Todd needs to go, we're just going to be honest, if Todd needs to go, are you willing to let him go?
As I've said many times, if nefarious cultural seismic problems, yes, I've said that.
Thanks, Mike. Can you just ask me afterwards?
Carlton, that's highly subjective.
Alvin, well, now's your turn.
Hi, everyone.
Hey,
Carlton.
Yes.
So, could you say that again?
If it shows cultural issues.
Culture, nefarious,
Huh?
nefarious,
Yes.
cultural.
Well, it's
Seismic.
it's not
Yeah.
all linked together, but if our department, basically, if our department is running around like a bunch of banshees doing whatever they want to, then yeah, there needs to be some accountability.
That is highly subjective.
Well, Mike's question
And-
was if it shows things. I mean, things is highly subjective too.
Things we've already saw a lot of the things though. So if the report comes out and it backs up a lot of the things that we've already laid before you, is that nefarious enough? Like the types of things in which we've already spoke about?
I think that it depends on the certain situation of it, on the severity. I mean, again, it goes back to if a massive cultural issue with people running around completely unrestrained and just massive issues.
I think it's more than fair to say that we already understand that there is a public safety issue already. And I think that should be enough all in itself. If the report backs up any of that, would you be willing to?
So if it backs up any of it, like one claim.
Yeah, like literally,
Like it's just
if it substantiates even one.
Just one doesn't show a pattern.
I think we need
If you
to,
don't mind me interrupting.
Yeah.
I think I should, it is, in some ways, we all just have to make that decision on our own. Does
Yeah,
that-
yeah,
does
absolutely.
something rise to the level of what type of change needs to happen? And I just,
Absolutely.
it's hard, I think when, you can ask whatever you want to ask, right? But I think it's hard for us to really talk much about that till, and for you too, because you don't know what's in it.
Yeah, I do not know what's in it, but what I'm saying for Carlton is that because he has been saying this since before this report, like even once you all decided to do the report, these have been his thoughts and his views. But in these 16 months, we've laid out all types of things right here before you. You saw it with your own eyes, just by even what you read in the newspaper. So I think it's a fair question to ask him.
I'm not saying it's not fair. It's
Yeah.
difficult. I think it will be an easier question for you to ask when you.
yeah, it's probably premature, really, to ask
That's
him
all.
that.
You'll be able to say, here it is, X.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how do you apply that?
Fair.
That's all I'm saying.
All right, that's it. Oh, and also, the issue that we have with the redactions, we understand that the redactions have to be made, but I think that we're just trying to drive home the fact that the trust is broken. So we just, want to reiterate that we have concerns about that. Not to say that you guys don't have integrity, but we've been shown by certain leaders in our city that integrity doesn't exist. So that's.
My only point back to that is, I know the narrative. If we redacted one sentence, and it was because the district attorney asked us to do it for a criminal reason, we would get people saying we're not being transparent.
I mean, yeah, but
It is what it is.
but the people who I think are in here, who are always here, who always show up, who understand a lot of this, we do not expect for there not to be redactions. We just want to reiterate that our concern with those redactions is the trust issues that we have. That's it. That's it.
Gotcha. Anissa.
I have a lot of questions, but I'm gonna try to make it quick. I don't think that, excuse me, my voice is going away, but I don't think it would be an issue for people or the community if there was some type of communication lines with us. And what I mean by that is, this could be a huge step toward transparency, right? You all knew that the report would be due on January 1st. You all didn't know what was in it. But I think proactively, you all should have made a commitment. Hey, January 1st is due. We may get it this date. We need to have an executive session this day, even though I disagree with that, but we're going to do the executive sessions. Herman Marks, how long have you been the city attorney?
I'm sorry,
How long have you been the city's attorney?
44 years.
And how often, or would you say, how many times have you had to redact information?
Quite often.
Quite often.
Yes.
So this is not something that would take a week because of your
Well,
experience.
You got, I understand. You've got this, you've got each situation has to speak for itself. This one is, as Council President's already shared, much more complex than some. It's got many different factors, so yes.
Can you tell me how many pages are in the report?
No, I think, Mr. President, we're on the edge. I mean, I appreciate, I want you to ask questions, but this is going to come out, and then you'll have the opportunity to ask them.
Well, that's the issue, though. I feel like sometime a timeline should have been generated and put in the paper or given to the community on the expectations of this report, because you all spent $300,000. We've been trying to be patient and give you all grace for the longest. You all reacted you all didn't react as soon as Steve was killed. You all waited months. We forgave that. And so the excuses we're done with. They're to us, because we've already had to deal with so many things not being told to us, it's excuses. So the way that you fight the excuses that you think you're going to get from, or the pushback that you're going to get from the community, is you be proactive.
Anissa, on, I believe the 30th, I'll have to go back and look, Mike asked for a timeline, and I gave it. We had not received it yet. I knew we were going to get it in the next day and a half. But I told him exactly, basically, the timeline that transpired.
In here?
Yes.
Not in the newspaper or anything like
I
that?
think it probably made it to the newspaper. I don't know, but I said it to him standing right there.
How often can you all call special hearings or executive session?
Well, executive session.
Is there a limit?
No.
Okay. How many council meetings do the bylaws allow a council member to miss?
So we, and you guys, I feel like I'm talking a lot, but so we have a local ordinance that it's actually, we'll take it up in the next few weeks because it has to do with setting the next term pay for mayor and council. But there, if you miss more than two meetings in a month, you're more than 3. It's more than 3? Well, more than 3.
If you miss 3 or more.
3 or more, so more than 2. More
Yeah,
than
more than 2, 3 or more a month, then from there,
$200.
add the number that they miss, and it's $200
Docked pay.
docked pay for each missed meeting for that month.
And then the state law is if you miss 90 days of meetings, you're actually automatically removed.
Okay, thank you. Let's see.
Unfortunately, that 90 days
Yes.
has to be consecutive.
Yeah.
It has to be consecutive.
You don't come to any meeting in a 90-day span, but if you come to one, it restarts.
Okay. Well, I guess I can ask that
So it
one.
restarted last week.
I do have this last question. Are there any plans to secure additional resources if necessary, if the report has any significant issues? So,
I guess mine, and I think Billy kind of pointed this, Mr. Jackson, sorry, last week. I think he will have to make decisions based on the information we have received. I think the question was last week about a public safety kind of supervisor over a public safety. I mean, that's an option, I guess, but I think there's a lot of options which may include additional resources, but, again, I don't know how everybody feels about it. It's going to be each council member has to review the information and decide what they think.
will you all utilize green technology and research for those resources, with the police department being as terrible as they are? Would you all still use him as maybe guidance through this process or recommendations?
We've gotten recommendations.
Mm-hmm. So will you all utilize him still to help, like, guide you all?
He's finished his work, so I'm sure if we need to do that, we could have that discussion, but there will be a new contract, and I'm sure he'd want to get paid if he was going to continue to do that. So that's an option, I think, is kind of your question. We'll have to just kind of see.
I think it's worth it, especially with the future lawsuits the city is going to have. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, Billy Kennedy.
Good evening. It's been 16 months, and we've been like begging everyone to what was going on with the police and everything, and we got the investigation here, and the mayor just he needs to resign. To me, he don't want to listen to anything we have to say, and the chief, I mean, he can't handle his job. We just witnessed him just running behind the officers, asking them to do things, and they don't pay him any attention. Even, with the investigation with the body cams, I mean, they showed the video all over the community, and we have the chief, lieutenant, all of them has investigated murders. I mean, hundreds of them. And they have never showed evidence just of a murder. So they pass evidence all over the Department of Steve. And the chief as well sent the lieutenant to Huntsville to alter it, and they didn't follow chain of command. The chief is not, he can't handle this job. And even after this investigation, everything come out that's been redacted. Is it anything that's going to be sent to the district attorney out of this?
No, not. I mean, he'll get the same. I will say we do want to make sure there's nothing that's public that, and you could talk to him about this, but that would impact any of the criminal proceedings. That's very important. Right. Yeah.
So we've been begging for stuff, and the police is still rogue, and it's a shame. And then it seems like even after y'all have viewed the paperwork of the results of the investigation, it seems like people are not happy with the results. The ones that have seen it, the way y'all body language is to me. And all of these cartoon characters and, harassing my family and other people, over the death of their father, husband, son. It's pitiful. And even at the gag order, Renshaw, he admitted, of a false Facebook. Then no one investigated. It's not right. But the truth will come out, and, things is going to change. I hate to lose my son-in-law over this, but it's going to come to the light.
Thanks, Billy. I've been a couple of comments about the gag order and Facebook profile. Honestly, that is probably the number one reason. There were several reasons, but that, I agree with you, had a big impact, and I was done after that. Yeah. We had to get the facts. We had someone in our department literally threatening to fight folks' spouses in parking lots behind the fake Facebook profile. Okay, so that's not good. That's wrong. It's terrible. And so that, just want to point out, it's not like we did nothing. Right? Literally the next week, or the next day, the next business day. That was on a Friday. On Monday, I went to Huntsville and met with Tory Green. So it did have an impact. We did try, I think, from the council's purview to do something about it.
I mean, it's
Just
hard.
because we recognize what you're saying.
Right. It's hard. I would pray that, you know, that y'all wouldn't have to go through the feeling that I feel.
Yes, sir. All right, Danny.
Hey, how's everybody doing? My first question, or my first statement and question is, Hunter stated that he had another job in another state. And as a council member, do you not have to be living in the city of Decatur to be a councilman?
Your residence has to be.
Your residence has to be. So if he has another job, can he just have a residence here as a mailing address and not actually be here?
As far as I understand, I could leave every Monday night and be gone until Sunday night, and or for that matter, for 90 days, as long as my residence was still here. Yes.
So is that not an ordinance that might need to change?
That's you need to talk to your legislature.
Oh, okay. So it's a state.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. All right. My next question is, since the experts in the review, in doing reviews, would be Green and his company, would it not have been more practical for, even after an executive session and even after redactions, for the council to have set up a meeting for Green and the experts to talk to the public, to expound upon what is in the review, instead of trying to have regular people who do not understand law and or policy of police departments and or criminal behavior unless they perceive it as what they think it is? Wouldn't it have been better for an expert to sit down and say, hey, this is what we found, this is the problem, or this is not the problem, and this is what we recommend in fixing that problem?
All of that is in the report.
But what if people can't understand the report? What are you saying, that their recommendation and what they think?
I think you'll be able to understand.
Okay, got you. All right, thank you. All right, the next one is for McMasters. You said nefarious, flagrantly wicked, criminal, or evil, extremely bad. Now, when we talk about nefarious things, the undertone is that someone has an intent to do bad things. Is that your definition of it?
No, nefarious may be a little harsh, but again, I think what I told Alvin with, if there's a pattern of irresponsible, nefarious, just bad work, yeah.
Okay. You said it might be a bad word to use, but then you use it again. So does nefarious meet the definition, or are you saying that nefarious is not the definition that you want to use? You just said if there is a pattern of inappropriate and conduct of becoming of a policeman, is that what you would describe as nefarious?
It could.
Okay. Well, you just said it, so either it is or it isn't. You got to either stick to what you want to say or don't make it up as you go. Which one is it?
We're getting a little,
We're not getting a little. I didn't say it. I'm only asking you what you said, not what I said. So either you said nefarious. You gave us what you thought nefarious meant. You just said if there's a pattern of conduct that they are not following police procedure, and they're doing bad or wrong things, that is what you just said, not what I said. So is that what you're going by?
Fair enough.
All right. Then you said cultural. The beliefs, customs, practices, and social behaviors of a particular people or group. We're not going to talk about people. We're going to talk about a group, which would be the police department, which is cultural. Would you state that the cultural thing that you're trying to say is that any other police department, a cultural norm of what you think, hey, they talked a lot. Ain't no way that was 3 straight minutes. Huh?
I got you for longer.
Okay. Okay, so what I'm saying, I didn't finish, I just heard, I was going over it. So if it's cultural, what you're saying is what you expect the police department to do, and what you think what a culture is, because this is your thoughts, not going off of the policy, this is your thoughts. If this is what a police department should be doing in your eyes, that is the cultural norm. If they're not doing that, with enough officers to state that this is not a one-off, this is a cultural problem. Is that what you're saying?
So I would say what's not widely accepted amongst other police departments would be
A cultural problem. Exactly what I just said. Okay. Seismic. This is the last thing. So something that has a significant or groundbreaking impact. Is that what you mean? Okay. Okay. And what would be groundbreaking or significant enough for you?
Danny, that's just it's...
No, we don't have to go by the report. You can, listen, we are all grown individuals up here, and you're on the council. If you cannot state what you think or what you mean as a councilman of the city of Decatur, then you need to abdicate your seat and let somebody else do it. What is groundbreaking or significant enough for you?
Racial profiling.
Racial profiling is the only thing, all right?
That's not the only thing.
Okay.
I'm not going to sit here and list them all out.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, in this report, if it is found that the police, not in an individual or 3 individuals, or enough of them are doing things that is a pattern of bad behavior, a pattern of doing wrongdoing, that's cultural. If they're doing things that are criminal, and they're doing things that are significant enough for you to recognize that they shouldn't be doing, wouldn't you say that falls on who?
I'd say that would fall on the chief and the leadership.
And chief and leadership. So we're on record right here saying that if all those things come out in report, that you, Carlton McMasters, are going to side with the report and not side with, well, I said it last week, I don't actually mean it this week.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you.
All right.
Justin Shepard.
What's the timeline look for the report?
Herman said before the end of next following week.
That's our goal.
That's the goal.
You said next week?
Yes.
What day?
I don't know.
24th?
We'll just have to, we're going to move as quickly as we can. I understand the concern, but I don't want to set some deadline that's not realistic. So the answer is the end of next week would be Friday.
Okay, so your department has,
Isn't that right?
your department has it, right?
Yes.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so who gave you a directive from the point of you receiving that?
Who gave me a directive? I don't know of anybody that gave me a directive.
So you just do whatever you want on a daily
No.
basis in here?
No.
Okay, so who gives you directives? Who tells you what to do, sir?
I'll answer that.
Well, no.
You can speak to us. I met with Herman to talk about the timeline. I think it was on the 27th. I'd have to go back and look to give you an exact date, but if my brain is working right, it's the 27th. And we talked through many of these issues, how to proceed, how do we need to go about the redactions, who needs to be involved, and I don't know that I have the authority and really don't want to give Herman directives on how to do his job. That's not my role, but I think we had a good mutual understanding.
I would prefer to call it guidance,
If
okay?
anyone gave him a directive, it would be me, but I think it was just a conversation.
No, it was guidance, yeah.
So then if he just says screw it and puts it in the shredder, who's he accountable to then?
We'll fire him if he does that.
Who will? But you guys won't. You guys won't fire anybody.
If he puts it in the shredder, we will fire him. And he would tell us to fire him.
Yeah. So you're telling me that there was no, this needs to be back on my desk done at this time?
I'm not an attorney. I'm not a district attorney. I'm not a lot of things. And so it is very important that that's done right. And Herman understands there's a sense of urgency with the public, and he's working through that to make sure it's right.
So did you ask for him what would be feasible, what would be a reasonable, obtainable goal to set for that?
He had not received it, so I don't think he could have given me how long it is and how long it might take and what's in it and who we might need to reach out to work on that. I know he has a meeting, I think, with the green team sometime this week to talk through it. So there's a lot of factors. Look, there's nothing, I mean, I can only say what the truth is, and the truth is there's no, to use Carlton's word, nefarious issue going on here. We're trying to make sure we do a thorough job and get it out to the public and as most information as we can, as quickly as we can. And that's just the fact of the matter, and we'll go from there. And people can say we're liars and have no transparency or whatever, that's fine, but the truth is that's what we're doing.
That wasn't what I was saying.
Yeah. No, I understand.
And that whole rant had nothing to do with the route I was going down.
Okay, so.
Never mind. I can't even.
Thank you. Anything else from council?
Next time I speak, don't fucking cut me off.
We'll stand adjourned.
Yes.